On the Shamatov. I thought that you liked the strawberry and cream best, so I figured it'd be all right if I ate the last raspberry and cream.
The Pope has defended the meeting, but he told the group that the horrors of the Holocaust must never be repeated. The Pope was scheduled to arrive in New Orleans a short time ago. Debbie Ely of our staff is there live to tell us about some preparations and some Minnesotans who travel to see the
Pope is dining with the Archbishop of the New Orleans Diocese. In a few minutes, he'll retire for the evening and prepare for a busy day tomorrow. Tomorrow, the Pope begins his day by celebrating Mass at St. Louis Cathedral. He then travels along a procession through the heart of downtown New Orleans up to the Superdome. Workers completed the setup at the Superdome earlier this week. Today, participants of the various papal events moved in, trying to learn where they will sit and what they will do tomorrow. Jim Griesgraber, an elementary school principal from St. Paul, will give a 5-minute speech on Catholic education. Coaches worked with him this morning on his delivery and papal protocol.
One of the surprises that may happen, we're not too sure what the Holy Father is going to do about talking or addressing us personally, if he's going to shake our hand or maybe give us a hug or whatever, so we have to be prepared for that, and I do hope that that happens because it would be a great thrill for me.
Down the hall, Maurice Jones and Elmo Alexander from the Twin Cities met with Black Catholic leaders. Black Catholics plan to present the Pope a list of 53 concerns about spirituality, education, family, and worship. Instead of the traditional European Mass, they want one that's black.
You can cry if you want, you can laugh if you want, you can sing if you want, you can express your personal feelings at these Masses. But we've been waiting for this for over 100 years.
Serious issues aside, Twin Cities papal participants spent part of today sightseeing. They visited Xavier University, the only black Catholic university in the United States, and they did the usual amount of souvenir shopping. Shops throughout New Orleans have every papal item imaginable. New Orleans has a strong Catholic community. More than 37% of its residents are Catholic. We'll be here tomorrow. We'll be visiting with Twin Cityans who are here for the papal visit, and we'll have their impressions tomorrow night on our 6 and 10 p.m. news.
All right, Debbie, we look forward to those reports. Mike?
All of us paid more for fuel, but...
As we speak, the Pope is celebrating Mass before 250,000 people at New Orleans Lakefront Park, 12 miles away. This is the second time today the general public has had a chance to see the Pope. The first time came this morning. People stood 10 deep on New Orleans streets to watch the papal motorcade as it passed from the cathedral to the Superdome.
Walk him up the stairs. Walk him up.
At the Dome, the Pope met first with 1,800 black Catholics.
Black Catholics want to express our faith, reflecting our unique identity and experiences.
The black leaders presented their ideas about how Masses could be more meaningful to them if the church allowed more black music and freer expression. The Pope responded.
I urge you to keep alive and active your rich cultural gifts.
Twin Cities black leaders who attended seemed impressed.
That we are now able to be in the large community, the black Catholics, that to me was very, very inspiring, and to be accepted, it was a thrill of a lifetime.
From the black delegation, the Pope moved down the hall to a group of Catholic educators. They gave an equally enthusiastic welcome. Twin Cities Archbishop John Roach welcomed the Pope, and then 4 educators, including Jim Griesgraber of St. Paul, told of challenges facing Catholic education.
No government funds are used to directly support Catholic schools. Nevertheless, these same parents are also required to pay taxes to support the public school system, even though they do not send their children to it.
Rising costs may call for new approaches, new forms of partnership and sharing, new uses of financial resources.
This afternoon, Griesgraber told me he was thrilled with the opportunity to meet and speak with the Pope. And if the memory isn't enough, the Pope gave Griesgraber a rosary to remember this special day. Back to you, Mike.
Very good. Debbie, where does the Pope go on from here? Debbie, where does the Pope go on after?
Well, Mike, the next stop for the Pope is San Antonio. He leaves from New Orleans tomorrow to travel to San Antonio.
All right, very good. Thank you for that report, Debbie Ely. Thousands watched, and he has the report via satellite.
New Orleans gave the Pope a Mardi Gras welcome as he passed through the downtown streets this morning. Much of his trip here has focused on youth and education. The Pope talked a lot about the 4 R's of the Catholic school: reading, writing, arithmetic, and religion. And he listened, too, to people like Jim Griesgraber of St. Paul.
Our educational program rests on the principle of freedom of choice. Attendance at a Catholic school or religion education program is not required, yet students come by hundreds of thousands.
It was a great thrill. I was able to shake his hand a couple of times, and he gave me a rosary, I suspect in appreciation for the presentation, and that'll always be a treasure for me.
Walk him up the stairs.
The Pope also met with black leaders. Last time he came to the United States, he had to cancel his meeting with them. Black Catholics asked the Pope for more input, especially in the masses. They say more blacks would attend church if they could freely express themselves in word and song. The Pope encouraged them to develop such masses.
Always profess proudly before the whole church and the whole world your love for God's will. It is a special blessing which you must forever treasure as a part of your heritage.
Twin Cities blacks who attended liked what they heard.
That we are now able to be in the large community, the black Catholics, that to me was very, very inspiring, and to be accepted, I mean, it was a thrill of a lifetime.
Some have called the New Orleans stop the feel-good part of the Pope's trip, where groups like educators and blacks leave with positive feelings about the church. The tough road is ahead for the Pope as he travels to cities where he'll face controversial issues like birth control and homosexuality. With photographer Dave Cheney, Debbie Ely, WCCO Television News, New Orleans.
The Pope also presided over an outdoor mass and attended a youth rally in the Superdome. It was the Pontiff and 90,000 young people who heard the message that they should turn their backs on drugs and say yes to God's plan. The Pope also stressed that sex is a gift from God that should be reserved only for marriage. Tomorrow, the Pope will go to San Antonio, Texas, where preparations are underway, including the